Hello everyone, and welcome to TableTakes presented by Gen Con. I am the Mike Robles, joined this week as always by Tifa, Emma, and Christian. Hello friends.
Howdy.
Hi.
Happy Friday everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, we got so much to talk about. We're going to just dive right into it. First things first, these hot headlines. Fresh off, announced this morning. I was on my phone on the drive-in. I'm just kidding, I was not. I saw this before. I was on my phone.
You must have been in front of me.
Wizards of the Coast announced and sort of confirmed what we all were talking about last week. War of the Spark is releasing very soon, and sure enough, that teaser showed a bunch of different stained glass planeswalkers, and Wizards of the Coast this morning confirmed that this set will have 36 planeswalkers.
Yes, and every booster pack will have a planeswalker inside.
So is that a lot of planeswalkers, or is that the normal amount of planeswalkers that Magic sets usually have? I mean, for people less familiar.
Magic sets usually have like 2 to 5.
There's a lot of
this is a lot. And having one in every booster pack is huge.
It's gonna, like, and I wonder if it's going to take over. Is it going to take over the rare slot? Is it going to be like where the land goes?
Yeah.
Maybe like, is there going to be some planeswalkers harder to find than others?
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, kind of the card rarity is kind of where they get their money from.
Yeah, but I'm saying, so like in previous sets, you know, where they had like the rare land, you were either going to get an uncommon land in the second slot, or you were going to get a rare land in the second slot. So some booster packs would have anywhere from 2 to 3 rares, depending on you know, luck of the pack. I wonder if this is going to be the same with planeswalkers.
Yeah,
what if you get like 3 planeswalkers in a pack?
Yeah,
extras. It's all planeswalkers.
Extras.
What do you do with all of them? Because can't you have only like a certain number?
There's a whole rules thing around.
You can have a whole deck of planeswalkers?
You could, yeah.
See, that sounds amazing.
I do want to shout out, like, working retail, one of the things that the kids were always into, they're like, I want the deck with the planeswalker. They go up to the battle decks. I want the packs with the planeswalkers. So going potentially to a more kid-focused audience, like getting a planeswalker in every single pack, like kids are going to freak out over this.
Yeah.
So,
If you head over
the younger audience.
If you head over to the Wizards website, you can see they actually have all the stained glass artwork from.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, they also announced in that same article that stained glass artwork will not appear on the cards.
Interesting.
So it's specifically made for. They're not doing previews yet, but they did show all 36 of the different planeswalkers, and I'm sorry, Garrick was not one of those stained glass.
What?
No.
Yeah.
So here's what I've always enjoyed about the Planeswalkers, even though not a huge Magic player, but I think that people really only know the story behind Magic because of those Planeswalkers.
Oh, yeah.
Because people identify with characters, and they were kind of the the main characters of particular sets.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I know anything about like the history of where Magic the Gathering is.
The
Otherwise,
universe.
it's just like, what do I need all these lands for?
There.
Right. Yeah.
It's like a game of real estate development followed by fireballs.
Basically. So that was announced this morning. Like I said, we were talking about it on the way in, and when we first got here, you can check out the Daily MPG and see the article with all the really cool stained glass artwork. Previews will start relatively soon. Again, they've shown no other previews other than the stained glass artwork. 36 planeswalkers, that's a lot. Speaking of Magic the Gathering, speaking of that's a lot. A Black Lotus recently just sold at auction for $166,000.
He just beat me out on that auction too.
165, not quite enough, right?
No, I just.
So we were talking about like what this means for Magic and sort of geekdom in general. Like, is this just a sign that Magic will continue to grow in popularity forever? Is it a sign that nerds are making the most money?
Fair.
What does it mean?
Well, and we also discussed how 7 months ago, the same card with a similar quality sold for $87,000. So that means it's doubled in price over the last 7 months.
Right.
That is a huge jump, and especially for that card. I mean, Black Lotus, obviously, one of the most sought-after, rarest cards in the set.
Yeah.
Even I know what it is.
Yeah.
$166,000, and then what are you gonna do with it? We talk about you can shove it into a deck somewhere.
Maybe play some high
definitely not.
stakes, like
Yeah.
$1 million decks, or like several $100,000. Shuffle
Who
that
do you
up.
play with?
Quadruple sleeve. Each one is in like a hard case. Your deck is like this big, so you're just like.
Yeah.
You get it framed. You just get a nice frame for it.
That's what I would do.
My guess would be Scandinavian billionaires are buying up all these really expensive rare cards.
I agree.
I'm gonna do what with them?
No.
It's a status symbol, like we were talking about. Yeah.
Remember how, like, when Nicolas Cage first got really famous, he bought Superman #1?
Yeah.
I think it's doing the same thing that comic books just aren't doing anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, who buys those?
And this is the thing. These are the things that people are.
I still buy comics.
That people are collecting as well. In the past it might have been cars, because that's definitely the price of expensive car. I don't have a car. I don't know how much cars cost, but that's probably a good one.
Jay Leno's gonna ditch all of his cars and just in
He's got this giant race car garage with just cards laid out.
Yeah, it's just on the floor in a hard case. It's just a card.
This is my legacy burn deck.
Yeah.
But I mean, the more like mainstream and cool that gaming becomes, like the more collectibles are going to be sought after and seen as these status symbols.
Absolutely.
The thing is, they've always, like, things like that have always been status symbols to us nerd types.
Yes, yeah.
You know, if I've got the coolest or rarest of something, of course I want everybody to know I've got it.
Yeah.
And I just think that we're taking that to the next level. It's become almost mainstream now, and this is the proof. You know, if rich people are buying the rarest of your toy, then you have made it.
Done it.
Yeah.
Done it, team.
That's true. Speaking of teams and cooperation,
Good segue.
Yeah, it's true. The Ravensburger Toy Fair. We got more details on some of their games. I want to talk about Horrified, which is, of course, right up my alley. This is the classic Universal monsters. We're talking Frankenstein's monster, Bride of Frankenstein, Wolfman, the Mummy, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Invisible Man, and Dracula. And in this cooperative game, it's a labyrinth-style game where you're trying to defend your village from these classic monsters. This sounds amazing. Yeah. Like I just sign me up. I'm a huge fan of the classic Universal monsters. Like,
yeah, and I think it's great that they're going to be on a game now. So Universal has to sign off on that, obviously, just because you can't use those monsters otherwise.
No, you cannot.
So they are fully licensed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like seeing the box art and everything, it's just like perfect replication of exactly what you would expect.
You got your Lon Chaney looking.
No,
it's
so good.
Times.
I'm very excited for that. Ravensburger is also, we talked about Jaws last week. One player plays the shark. Everybody else tries to defeat the shark.
What's cool about this game, too, is you actually flip the board. So it's part of the mechanics of a game. I don't know what other game that has it, that you're playing on the island, and then you flip the board, and it's the boat.
Well, yeah. I mean,
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's how you get to. I wonder if also
So flipping the board, but not in anger, but in like, it's like you flip the board, like, no, what happens? Like, oh, no, it's just that other
Is
half
the
of
boat the
game.
same size as the island? Because if so, you don't really need a bigger boat.
Does the shark player get to flip the board? Because
I don't
it
know.
really should be.
Probably thematically, right? Just
Yeah.
like,
all I'm saying is I really hope that the only way to defeat him is that the shark player, like the players have to shove,
You have
an
to
oxygen
probably
tank
gather the items
inside
of the
shark
oxygen
and then
tank.
shoot it.
Shoot it, yeah.
And then shoot it.
It's a bit like Camp Grizzly in that fashion.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite board games.
Spoilers for Jaws if you've never seen it. Also, you really should.
Oh, the
see
shark
There.
doesn't make it, but still comes back in the second movie. Weird,
it. And
right?
third.
I think we're beyond the point for spoilers for Jaws. I think it's okay to be.
We've passed that threshold.
That movie is 43 years old. So.
More from Ravensburger. King Me. Expanded checkers with new strategies and goals. How do you expand checkers?
Right. You.
Up. Yeah,
I played it when I was a kid.
Three-dimensional.
You get kinged like 4 times. You're just like, I'm super king now.
Yeah.
You never made up your own rules for checkers? Like, that's what I did. It was like, oh, I got kinged on one side and the other side.
And
so
I
I
have
had
a dragon.
Yeah, so I had like 3 stacks of checkers high.
Here's my G.I. Joe.
This means I can jump 4 squares.
I mean, maybe the
And these
pieces
5
are
form
probably
Voltron.
cooler than standard checkered.
Well, and they have the board too. It wasn't just like this. The picture of the board was like cross shape. So there's like different dimensions, new dimensions of checkers.
Are you gonna pick this one up?
How innovative.
Pure abstract strategy like that can be very frustrating, mostly since my husband is a lot better at it than me. So it gets to the point, especially checkers, it's a war of attrition, right? Like you get down to a point where you got the 1 and they've got like 70 or however many checkers there are.
And then you run
Just
around
go,
the board
yeah.
one square at a time, right? I know how to
You're
play
just
checkers.
hiding.
We also got from Ravensburger Impact, a new version of Strike. I've never played Strike. It's Dice Arena though, so it's gonna be fighting in an arena with dice.
Sweet.
Castles of Burgundy, also the 20th anniversary.
Castle Burgundy is a great game.
Is it?
It's a really good game.
What's it like?
It's a like standard resource management strategy game.
Well, I got news for you. They announced the 20th anniversary is a big box edition, which will have 11 expansions.
That's pretty amazing. That's gotta be a box that I can fit in. If there's 11 expansions.
It's gotta be.
I didn't know if there were expansions to Castles of Burgundy.
There's a
Are they-
lot.
I didn't know there was
11.
11 of them.
Yeah, because it's one of the games, or maybe like if you go into Mox local game store, see all of the Carcassonne and Catan and different things, but Casa Burgundy is a little less, you know, on that whole like take up a whole shelf. Maybe this is their bid, you know, to like, hey, we're here too with all our.
We're here to take up shelf space.
Yeah.
Buy our
Yeah, maybe they're like, nobody knows we have expansion.
Yeah.
We know how to fix that.
This will be the shelf, actually. This big giant box.
Just one box.
It's also going to include some high quality components. So
Which is great because it's one of those games that has lots of little pieces, so higher quality.
Yeah.
I love those games.
Well, there you go.
I always feel worse when I lose those pieces. Though. Like,
Oh yeah, no, it's awful.
Why are you losing pieces? Have them
then
in
don't
like a
lose them.
saran wrapped bowl, open the saran wrap, take out the one piece, re-saran wrap it, and don't let anyone touch it. It
okay,
might
nerd.
I want to play more games with Emma.
I do too. It's like, oh, this is gonna go well.
Well, you know, it's great. All three of you guys can play the new Games Workshop games that are coming soon. Games Workshop is going to release 3 brand new games, which it sounds like we're still sort of trying to clear this up. Might be exclusive only to big chain stores, so like Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble. And these are going to be intro games. So there's going to be games, sort of this, the taste, the free taste.
Do they teach you to go to your local game store and buy the expansions afterwards?
I think they'll teach you to go to your local game store to get deeper into minis. So the first one they've got is Storm
the
Vault.
gateway.
Yeah. And these are going to be for ages 8 and up or 12 and up. So we've got Storm Vault, which is an Age of Sigmar variant. It's fully cooperative. But there's miniatures removed with tools.
That was my comment about it was you still have to remove the minis from the sprues. I'm wondering, that's very much, my first experience doing that was assembling Games Workshop minis.
Yeah.
This is a big thing, even without the gluing, just disassembling them. So I'm very interested to see how that will work at a retail level.
Well, it's supposed to be more kid-friendly.
Yeah, just give it to your 8-year-old.
Maybe
So we're not giving them chemicals. That seems smart.
Maybe it's just bigger pieces that will snap together.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah.
Just 2 halves.
Yeah.
The Duplo version of Warhammer? Okay, why not?
There's also going to be Dreadfane, which is a simplified version of their Underworlds. Again, set in the Age of Sigmar, the fantasy realm of Warhammer. What do we think this is for? I mean, again, they're geared towards kids, but it's like, how are you going to tell a kid, hey, welcome to the world of minis in this fantasy realm, also the Underworld realm? Good luck.
It's very deep talk, going into there. And with having the simplified rules too, in a lot of these games, I mean, the thing about these games is you get sucked in by other people, right?
Yeah.
Somebody brings you in, somebody teaches you the rules, it's a very community-based thing. So for the simplified rules, is that still going to be interesting for the experienced players? Is that going to be something that they're going to want to pull other people in, or is the expectation that people will self-teach these fairly complex games? It's very interesting.
Well, and then they can go from there into the Combat Arena, which is it's a prequel to the Warhammer Quest, the Blackstone Fortress. This one, again, this is Warhammer 40K, and there's going to be multiple modes for this, head-to-head, team-based, or, against, you sort of play solo with a preset AI, and I hate to use the word AI in a board game because it's not like it's going to do it for you automatically, but, it'll guide you along the way.
NPC.
NPC. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
What's
That you have to run yourself.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is it seems like companies across the board are like, hey, we should try to get children into our games. Because this is 3 weeks in a row that we've brought up something, with D&D, I don't even remember what it was last week, but it's been all these different things.
Yes,
It's suddenly they're realizing, oh, now that we're targeting all of the adults, why don't we just make this even further and get them younger?
Well, I think board games have been booming, but there's still orders of magnitude of growth for the industry, and that growth comes from pulling new people into the hobby, and a lot of that is starting to get kids from a young age, kind of. That sounds kind of dark, putting it that way, but teaching the languages and the motions of games. Because at Mox, I've seen 6-year-olds come in. It's oh, what game would you like to play today? It's I don't know. Azul was a little not quite for me, so maybe I'll try Reef this time. But if you start kids young enough, they learn so fast.
Well, and
the language of games.
I think I think that games give people a lot of skills,
Yes,
and the ability to plan ahead and strategy and even taking turns. I think they're great for kids.
Yeah.
Another reason this might be happening is maybe people in our age group who have been super into board games for the last 15, 20 years are having kids.
Yes, yeah.
And they want games to
Finally.
teach their kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just an interesting industry
And that being
trend.
said, like Warhammer has also been hitting the retail market really hard with a lot of different things.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
they're just trying to kind of cover their bases, and getting their product into these big box chain stores is another way to do that.
Yeah.
Not just to bring in people into the hobby, but like brand recognition. Seeing it
Right.
on the shelves at Walmart is
Yeah.
going to make a big difference to somebody who's never been to a game store before.
That's true.
Yep. Speaking of brand recognition, Funko is planning to, quote, disrupt the board game business. In an interview with the CEO, they laid out a pretty ambitious plan of what they would like to set out to do. The quote from them is, "We believe we're going to disrupt this category by approaching it in a very non-traditional way, similar to how we approached the figurine business." So that says a lot. One of the things that was talked about is they essentially want to create an engine that can pop out a board game, like input a license, say, well, I would like to make
You get a board game. Yeah. You get a board game.
yeah,
Board game gun, yeah.
The t-shirt cannon, a board game cannon gun. And it's going to be one of those things where it's like, we made this joke earlier, but sort of the way the Op did with all of the different, Fortnite Monopoly, Mario Gamer Monopoly. Are we going to see something like that, or are we going to see, Black Panther's trending, Captain Marvel, huge hit movie this year. Can we create a game in a week and chuck one out?
I think
Turns
it's
out,
going to be.
if you're Funko, you can.
I think it's going to be a lot harder than they think it will.
Yeah, I agree. As board game designer,
Yeah, there we go.
I'd like to say that there's, I love the idea of streamlining and think that it's actually something. Spoiler alert: the whole board game design business is very chaotic. There's a lot of people in their homes, individual designers, pitching these games to company, and there's not like a whole system. There's not an educational I can learn these skills and this is throughput to how I become a designer.
Right.
So I like the idea of creating these engines and this idea of going through a system and doing it a little faster. There's still a lot though of does taking an IP kind of sinking into it? Does it work for the IP? Does it capture the feel and the experience of the intellectual property?
Yeah.
So I think there's still going to be some time there to really get it right. I'm interested to see if they do that digging in, or if they do more of a shotgun approach.
I expect some stumbling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Along the way, though.
My worry is that if there is kind of a cookie cutter approach to to just slapping a license on something like we do with so many other things, that we're going to lose. I mean, what if the game's not good to begin with? I guess is the big question.
You know what this reminds me a lot of when we talk about, I don't want to use the term cookie cutter, but Telltale games from video games. The Telltale Games series, all of those games are based on the same engine, the Telltale storytelling engine. And each one of those games are incredibly different, and different enough based on the individual IP, because they encapsulate the world of those IPs. And every single one of those games that I've played from them are all emotional in their own different ways. They're all
But that engine is designed to tell stories.
right.
Yes.
So it's perfect for adding a license to.
Right,
Because
yeah.
it's there to tell a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It shows you a narrative. It gives you choices
Yeah.
along the way.
But Villainous, we know they just bought the company that makes Villainous.
Yeah.
And that is a game that each character is very different. You could apply different IPs to that model and
That's
it'd
true,
still be
yeah.
a fun game.
And
Yeah.
I mean, they still, they have Forrest Brazan, world class, some of the most impressive designers in the whole world. So I'm sure that they'll continue to do.
Yeah, also,
fun
guys, if
things.
you're watching, can we get the Pixar Villainous out there? Because I would love to play as Sid or Emperor Zurg or
Surge.
right? Yeah, that'd be so cool. Just throw that out there. All right.
Make us a game now.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Please. One of each.
We got. I didn't have a good segue for this, but Fantastique is a new game coming out here, designed by Lorenzo Silva, who made Potion Explosion, Dragon Castle, and Steam Park, and by I'm not even gonna try to.
Hjalmar.
Thank you. And this is it's like Dixit, but with clay. So we're gonna sit here and we're all gonna model and we're gonna sculpt clay together, and it's I want some of you to get it, but not all of you to get it.
Right. It's if I want to make a a bicycle,
Yeah.
but I don't want everybody to know it's a bicycle, but I want you to know it's a bicycle.
Yeah.
What do I make? This is not my guts.
Yeah, this is an interesting one.
Also totally not problematic in any sort of figure creating way.
Also, there's sculpting involved, which means there's clay involved, which means that my mom would not let me have this game because it would end up in the carpet.
Well, and how long will the clay last, right? Like, what's the replayability factor of this?
I mean, are there different colors of clay?
And
do I get
clay
a
is
mix and
replaceable.
match? Yeah, get Play-Doh. Just like
Yeah,
for
also,
something.
like, if you dig down deep enough, pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what though? Yeah, if there's different colors in my head, like I was the kid that kept the Play-Doh colors separate, and I'm just like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
I
mix
was the
these
kid
colors
with
together.
brown Play-Doh.
I agree, because you mix them the one time and then it's
That's
all
it.
brown. So
It's over.
Yeah.
Luckily, so far, our son keeps them separate.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And he keeps it out of the carpet, which is important. And like we said, this game there's gonna be a lot of cleaning bills coming from this game. Just need to take a little breather after that. All right,
There you I'm going to yell in a second.
there you go.
There.
Thames Cosmos revealed new games and refreshed titles coming up. They're gonna have their adventure games, which are modeled after the Exit series, but are story-based games. So it's a choose-your-own adventure, only not the choose-your-own adventure license.
So if you aren't familiar, the Exit games are escape rooms in a box, similar to Unlock from Asmodee. These sold really, really well. I'm imagining Thames and Cosmos was like, hey, what else can we do with this? And went for the choose your own adventure route.
Yeah. Obviously they won't be able to call it Choose Your Own Adventure because there's some very strong legal teams behind that IP.
Select your own adventurous
Select
path.
your own life journey. I think it's exciting, and I think for the Choose Your Own Adventure brand, like a lot of it is their like 80s and 90s IPs. You know, it's very much about getting that flavor. It's very much about the nostalgia. But as a framework, you know, as a kid, like I loved going through the stories, like going through doing the different options. So I'm excited to see them build more things with that as a concept, and they tend to be very accessible too, you know, because it's just like you read the story together and it's a fun group activity.
And
Yeah,
if
I
you
wonder
make the
what the
wrong
age-
choice, you're dead in 3 pages.
Yeah. And
wonder
then
what
you
the
go
age
back
range
and
is.
start over again.
Also from Thames and Cosmos, Unbongo. I just like saying that. The Extreme Fun Size Edition, which I love because it makes it sound like Extreme Fun Size, makes it sound like it's going to be this giant thing.
Yeah, extreme.
But fun size
Fun
always
size.
means small.
Yeah, it's a portable version.
Extreme fun size.
Yeah,
Like
extremely
fun size
small.
candy bars are less fun than regular candy bars.
Yeah,
But Extreme Fun Size candy bars are just the normal size?
Yeah.
extreme. Or just
So it's
with
just a normal board.
glitter and nerds mixed into them.
So that's coming out with that. Imhotep, the Duel. We were discussing earlier. I got really disappointed because I thought this was Bubba Hotep, which is a completely different movie starring Bruce Campbell. Amazing if you haven't seen it. But this is gonna be a 2-player version of the popular 2016 game.
Is it from 2016?
That's what it says in my notes.
It's a very traditional looking game. I definitely assume it was older just by looking.
Maybe that's the aesthetic.
Yeah, it's definitely aesthetic, but
Also, Tribes, civilization building, similar to Nations, from the same designer.
But
not
lower
to be
tech.
confused with Rise of Tribes or a lot of other Tribes adjacent games on BGG.
Yeah, I saw Tribes. It's like I thought that game exists
Right,
already.
I know.
So it's a lot of Tribes games.
Speaking of adventure,
Speaking of adventure, you can roll for adventure now. Nice, good segue, Tifa. That's my job. You have Kickstarters, I have segues. That's the way it works. Roll for Adventure, a cooperative fantasy dice game. This is, gonna roll some dice and create an adventure.
that also sounds
That just
fun.
sounds like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the reverse. Like in Dungeons and Dragons, you're making the adventure and then you roll dice. This is you roll the dice first.
To make the adventure.
Roll, and then you make the
All right. Deconstructed D&D.
But then do you get to choose your own dice?
D&D
So is it
indeed.
choose your own roll adventure that you have to exit? You can
with a
combine
puzzle.
all- with a puzzle. And then you're trapped and you cannot finish the puzzle until you put it together because it's an escape room puzzle.
That's when Mike's head
But you
exploded.
lost a piece, and so you're just in there forever.
3 more exit games are coming. Speaking of puzzle games.
Speaking of exit games,
Exit games, these guys
They're your
are on a
favorite.
roll. Yeah, there's gonna get 3 more games coming, and then a line of games called the Brainwaves. Games designed in cooperation with neuroscientists to provide fun exercises that also help improve cognitive abilities.
My thing about this, isn't that just games?
I thought the same
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
I mean, I appreciate like rolling science into it and like doing some research to build these things out. And a lot of the games are kind of like memory games,
Right.
like potentially for younger kids or like more accessible for less of gamers. But I'm like, I play games to make my brain work better, probably. I hope.
But they're like,
maybe
hey,
I'm doing it wrong.
How can we advertise games about how they really are?
Yeah.
This is how.
Maybe all the other games are just bad.
Don't
for your
worry,
brain.
parents. The game isn't fun. It'll make your kids smart.
Yes.
Parents buy that.
Yeah.
Let's just call it Baby Einstein, and then later on they'll have to retract them. Like, it turns
They
out
have
these don't
special. They have
actually-
special toy stores just to make sure, like, where all the toys are there for learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still puppets and trucks.
Yeah.
But
learning trucks.
but they're learning trucks. Learning games could go on the shelf at that store.
Yeah.
There you go. We got some more news from Asmodee. Oh no, wait, there's still some more themes. There was more themes that I didn't see on the second page
it's
here.
Thames.
Thames.
That's more the brainwave stuff.
Oh, it's more of the Brainwave stuff. All
Yeah.
right, so that's we talked about
Astute
that.
Goose and Wise Whale. I mean, they got great names. Like, they have that going for them.
I like
Brilliant Boar.
So clearly these Brainwaves are also
Astute goose.
the Brainwaves games are also looks like they are taking an animal theme
Yeah.
with Astute Goose, Wise Whale, and Brilliant Boar.
That makes them more educational.
Yeah.
Because
The animals are great.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna talk about Asmodee and their more Toy Fair stuff.
Speaking of children's games,
There you go. They partnered with they're distributing games from Djeco, which is teaching gameplay basics like strategy and mechanics. So this is instead of working on cognitive abilities, this is going to teach more strategery.
one of them's called Pirate Attack, which has me really excited.
Yeah, that sounds like a good game.
Also,
and I feel like I
Battle
could learn
Wolf? Oh my
something from it.
gosh. Yeah, Battle Wolf. This is just like cut right to the chase, you know, just stick the two exciting words together. That's what kids want,
Battle Wolf is a pretty cool name.
right?
Like, if I
All
could
these
change
names are
my
pretty
name to
great.
anything, I think Battle Wolf is
Battle
in the top
Wolf,
5.
yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it's like it sounds like they didn't even bother to test it. They just asked a kid.
Yeah.
What are you doing with that? I'm a Battle Wolf, Dad.
Yeah.
All right.
Check.
Xander
Box
would
it up.
definitely want to play a game called Chop Chop.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So they got lots coming out of here. And Emma, you've talked about some of these games before. You've played Ramen Fury.
I have played Ramen Fury, yes.
What?
It makes you very hungry. So, I mean, it's literally just everything you could dream about from a ramen game. I mean, first of all, everyone loves ramen, and just this idea of you're building your perfect ramen bowl while trying to...
I want to stop you because I love that you said everything you can dream about
Yeah.
from a ramen game.
Did you see the vein pop out on my forehead when
Everybody
you
was
said
like,
that?
you know what I cannot wait for? A ramen game. So-
I mean, I'm excited.
I mean, is it just me who's got a weird thing for food games?
No, Tifa's got that too.
Yeah.
We've established
I
that in
mean-
every
I didn't mean to
episode.
interrupt you, but please continue.
Sushi Go, Bonus for Donuts, now this ramen game, anything where you have like food, cute, adorable,
So-
mixing.
Sunday-
I know nothing
Sunday
about this game, but let me see if I've got this right.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
on what I'm guessing it is. Okay? You have a bowl.
You do, yeah.
You put some ingredients in it
You
until
do,
you have the
yeah.
perfect cup of ramen.
Yes. Well, I'm pretty sure there's like different scoring conditions for it, and you get the ingredients, and there's a little bit of interactivity with it as well.
The
so.
soft-boiled egg is worth 12 points.
Yeah.
Could
So
be.
gotta
You
be.
gotta be. Well, and it's like if it's too spicy, you choose the wrong broth with the wrong protein.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into making a
Ramen.
good bowl of ramen.
Ramen could go south very fast.
Not
There's
just
literally
ramen
a brick
higgledy-piggle.
of noodles in a packet, right?
Yeah. That's if you're trying to.
You,
build the
sir, are no
dorm room
ramen
challenge.
connoisseur.
We need to take you out to ramen. It's
Yeah.
really.
I don't disagree with that. You buy it, though, right?
We also got Megacity-Oceania, designed by Jordan Draper, who did Import Export and Tokyo Metro, and Michael Fox, who did Holding On.
And was in Family Ties.
Yes.
You construct a city on top of the ocean. Sounds cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Sounds like something we're probably gonna have to start doing.
Don't do that with a
Yeah.
movie, you will lose a lot of money. Ask Kevin Costner.
I'd like
Even
that
though it's a
movie.
great movie, thank
and,
you.
and even
Thank
better
you.
stage show if you've ever seen it live in Hollywood. It is amazing.
I think the
Releasing at
cooperative,
Gen
What? No, I'm going to ask about that later.
the cooperative aspect of this is really cool. I was recently at a game event where people were playing between two castles of Mad King Ludwig. The smash up, the hit smash up between two cities and castles of Mad King Ludwig.
That's cool.
And I thought it was a cool concept because it's like, oh, you're scoring in that game, you're scoring based on the two people next to you. But the person playing is like, it's the worst because what if the person next to you just sucks and then you just lose because that person sucks? I'm like, maybe that's not the spirit of the game that you're going for. Or maybe you just suck. But I think it's an interesting thing, this like cooperative and then score separately. So it's like you're working together to build this, but it's not fully a cooperative game.
So reminder, gamers. Maybe you just suck.
That's what I was just thinking.
A hot take from Emma this week.
don't like the way this game
my
works?
peas.
Maybe you suck.
I'm working on a song
That
about
does
that.
sound like something a
so
designer would say.
Yeah.
there-
Let me call your character into question.
Speaking of characters, Pathfinder has announced
Damn, Mike, you are so good at this.
Pathfinder 2. Paizo announced Pathfinder 2. And wow, can we just talk about, like, here's the thing. Paizo's not going into this being like, yeah, we're going to announce it. Pathfinder's going to be like, we've announced this, and we're going to drop everything you need. Dropping on August 1st.
I'm going to be doing a little squee dance over here just so we're all clear.
The core rulebook.
I know.
The Bestiary. The Lost Omens World Guide. Adventure Path. Hell Knight Hill. Ages of Ashes 1 of 6.
1 of 6.
The Adventure, The Fall of Plaguestone, the Flip Mat for The Fall of Plaguestone, a character sheet pack, the GM screen, a combat pad, and a condition card deck.
They're just letting you know they have all the things.
And the core rulebook and Bestiary are going to have deluxe editions.
Deluxe hardcovers. People are going to be all about that.
1 of each.
All of those are dropping on the 1st, so it's like
They're ready for Gen Con, is what they are. They are ready for Gen
they're
Con.
like, yo, you want Pathfinder 2?
There it is.
Like, there it is. That is crazy.
I've been hanging out with the playtest of that Pathfinder 2 a lot, and I'm really, really excited about it.
Nice.
I mean, you say that's crazy, but I feel like that's the way you have to do it.
I agree, but it's because there's going to be the dedicated and the hardcore fans are like Emma's sitting here just chanting one of each.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, because there's two ways that publishers do tend to go about it. Like, half of them do this with just like, here is everything. There's definitely risk involved. I mean, how many copies of each of these things are they printing?
Yeah.
Especially for Gen Con, that's going hard into it, as opposed to, hey, let's just put this out and maybe like test the waters and see it. They're in.
Yeah,
they're invested.
The problem is when you release the books one at a time, like a lot of companies do, you get that core book to start with when a new edition of a game comes out, and then you can't play it for at least 3 months until the supplemental books come
Right.
out.
Yeah.
So this is the way to do it.
Yep.
Take my money.
So that's look for that on August 1st. Speaking of take my money, please, Modiphius, who you already have taken most of my money and will continue to do so. They announced they're going to be working with Bethesda Softworks for a Fallout adapted RPG. I love Fallout. I have sunk well over 200 hours into Fallout 3 and 4 and New Vegas.
Yeah,
and it's
me too.
Yeah.
See, I'm just much more of a Fallout 2 fan myself. Like, kind of before it was cool,
Yeah, it's super hipster of you.
Well, I really liked the new ones. It's 3D. You're moving around, navigating in the world. Like, I liked the 2D, the isometric, more tactical aspect of it. I was terrible at it. Like, I never finished a game. And those games, like the richness of
story.
the richness of the world and the complexity, especially like those old school, like 2D tactical exploration games. It's like, I wandered in the desert one direction, I didn't know what to do, and I'm dead now. And you can do that for 200 hours before you're like, oh, if you just went the other way, the power armor is there and you can win.
I got great news. You can still do that in 3, 4, and New Vegas. And 76. In 76, you also have to worry about your thirst and your food.
Yes. And then you also have to spend like several hours wondering why you paid for Fallout 76.
I like it.
I really liked Fallout 3. But in Fallout 4, I spent like an hour and a half creating the wife character, and then she immediately died.
That happened to me too.
Done with the game.
It's Fallout. Everyone you love dies. FYI.
Sad.
So what this is going to be an RPG and an expansion to their minis game. So that's really interesting to me because we've talked about how it seems like you're going to have to use the minis or stuff that comes in the minis base games with the RPG.
And I don't think that's how they're going to do it at all. They are going to be using the same system that they're using for Mutant Chronicles, because the same company puts it out, and I think that it's going to be, you can play it this way, and also there's minis.
Okay.
Kind of like what they did at the beginnings of Pathfinder and 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons. If they make the minis a necessary part of the game, then it's not two different games anymore.
Right.
Yeah, and especially like those, it's big box games. You know, it's not something you can get for like $20. So that's a big investment in it. I'd love to see it be kind of this crossover thing, and maybe ways to get like new minis, like flavor that you can like replace in the game, and have this kind of like back and forth between the two.
Look, I have one of every raider.
Because I have the board game and I love the board game. I think
I've been wanting to play it. I haven't got a chance.
It's really cool. It's definitely Fallout. It's really well done.
It's a tactical combat part of it mostly, or is there?
No, you're wandering and you're scavenging and you're trying to find. Like it is great flavor of Fallout. And then of course there are mutants and bugs and stuff coming at you, and you just there is combat, yes, but there is also please try and survive and scavenge what you can. And then there's added story elements. Like you're trying to complete a specific story arc. They've taken stories from both 3 and 4 and sort of mashed them into the board game. It's really neat.
Now I want to play it more.
So look for the RPG. I almost every time I go to a store, I see they have the bubble pack of like the Nuka-Cola bottle caps.
Yep.
Even though I don't play the minis game, I just want to buy that.
I know,
and just
right?
Have a bunch of Nuka-Cola caps. So that's going to release later this summer. 3 linked adventures. There's going to be a special edition and box set planned for later this year. Holiday season, I believe. So that's going to be really, really neat.
Sweet.
I'm pretty excited. Also, speaking of more things that Mike likes, Gale Force 9 is going to have a cooperative game based on the Aliens franchise. Space Marines, Colonial Marines versus Xenomorphs in a co-op survival game. It sounds awesome.
See, and I heard co-op and was hoping you get to like join forces with the aliens.
And maybe you bake cupcakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All together, realize it was all just a big misunderstanding.
Yeah.
The aliens' little other mouth is like, I'm sorry, guys. It's back in.
I love you, little kid.
I mean, to be fair, the humans came to them first, right?
Yeah, well, not really. No, that's not how that worked.
There's a whole batch of really weird movies.
Why can't we all just get along?
Yeah. Right?
Because they're parasites.
There you go.
Okay.
So there's going to be 6 missions.
We're not.
Yes.
Technically, no.
Harsh truths. That's a hot take from
Hot
Tifa and
take.
Emma, both with the hot takes today. So this is going to have 22 minis, and I joked that like 20 of them are going to be xenomorphs. They actually 20 of them are going to be eggs, and then 2 of them will be xenomorphs.
Yeah.
And they're like, the Marines, just go grab your G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
You know, this is all about it. There's going to be 6 missions that are going to be, you can play them separately, or you can link them all together and do a sort of a campaign mode. And then 2 survival scenarios, which sounds really cool. Because if you've played the Aliens version of the legendary deck building game, it is not easy. You die a lot. I've lost a lot in that game.
Have you ever won?
Yes, I've won once. My
And
goal
you
is
remember.
I remember
that
it. Well,
victory.
because in the legendary deck building game for the Aliens franchise, they have the different movies, and I was like, I will not play the other movies until I defeat the first movie. I'm gonna do that one at a time, and it took me months. All right, how much time we got? We have plenty of time. Let's go ahead and let's talk about which one to do. Let's move over to the other sections of this before we dive deep into one of our later topics. Right now, we're gonna have some bundles.
Well, we're gonna
Bundle me,
we're
bro.
gonna have a bundle this week. Humble Bundle is putting out, and since we've been talking so much about Warhammer and the 40K series, this is actually a series of digital novels.
Oh,
But it's all like the 30K stuff. The the history, the prequel to our horrible, bleak 40K universe. If you wanted to know more about the game that you're going to be going and buying at Walmart in a month or two, and you want to dig into the lore a little bit, this is a way to do that. It's basically $315 worth of digital books that you get for $15.
Wow.
You want to know things about Warhammer? This is how you do it.
So this is like Slanesh and like old gods and stuff. Like
That's what
any hot point, like hot hits for the 30K. I know they have like a very rich history to it, so it's kind of like before everything
It's
went
also
bad.
very deep and takes days to dig into. So
Yeah, there's a lot there.
I mean, $315 for $15.
Yeah.
That's a good
15
deal.
bucks.
That monetary value for me alone is worth it for me to grab it. Plus, I like reading, so
Yeah.
There you go.
That actually looks pretty cool.
All right, so that's our bundle. Now to kick it over to the Kickstarter queen,
Yeah.
Tifa.
So the
Kickstarter corner.
first thing I'm going to talk about for Kickstarter is.
You're there.
Nope, that's not it.
You get it wrong? You want to get your own notes? You got it somewhere?
I do, yeah.
There you go.
Where did it go?
Is it this one right here?
Yes, Critical Role.
Oh, wow. Can we?
That was
So
That
now-
was all anticipation,
Yeah.
plan,
Everyone's like, what's it going to be?
Everyone's
What's it
on
going
the
to be?
edge of their seats. Critical Role, The Legend of Vox Machinima Animated Special. This launched and within like an hour had $1 million. So Yeah.
Just wow.
Yeah, before the show today, it had like 6.5 million.
Yeah.
So it's still going strong. I'm pretty sure they've made their goal.
Yeah.
Some millions of dollars.
Critical Role, the very highly watched live play D&D-esque adventure series starring just a ton of voiceover actors.
Right.
I got really excited because I saw the hashtag Critters trending on Twitter. Not realizing that the Critical Role fans are called Critters.
Right.
Because the streaming service Shudder, which does horror movies, also announced that they are revamping Critters, the TV series.
No
From the
kidding.
Omaha horror. And I was really excited thinking, oh, wow, is this a thing? Oh, this is for something that I don't really know or understand. Oh,
Yeah,
but
no,
also
they're
there's
doing
Critters coming.
animated episodes of...
Well, I want to know, this is just for animated special. This doesn't even include the episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like, yeah.
Well,
That's a lot of money.
I imagine that they want to have a whole series for it.
Right.
And
They can afford it now.
Because the thing they had mentioned in the video was, that it takes a lot of investment just to get a series going. And once you put all that work into it, obviously you want to keep it going if possible.
Yeah.
It looked cool. I've watched a little bit of Critical Role. I haven't delved
yeah.
deeply into it. But just like the animation, the style, I mean, it had almost like a 90s cartoon vibe to it. It's
Yeah.
very much just like, magic, sword, adventure.
It's nuts. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's out now on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, and yet
third
another
goal.
sign of where geek culture is, the fact that a Kickstarter is blown up like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
So it's got the record now, too. Like, it's
really?
raised more money now for any film on Kickstarter of all time.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And as a former record holder myself in that particular category, it beat us by a lot.
And the interesting part about this, did we figure out how it's going to be distributed? Because I don't think the Kickstarter is actually you get the episodes. I think there's swag and stuff, but for the actual episodes, maybe they're going to be on YouTube or something, that people
I
can
have no idea.
watch.
I didn't back it because they don't need my money.
There, that's fair.
I don't think that's been said yet. That's probably something in an update we'll see. But yeah, let's move on. What other Kickstarters
Yeah,
are
other
happening?
Kickstarters, if there's still money left.
Yeah,
There is.
there's always money left.
Immersive battle maps for tabletop role-playing games. It ends in the next day, so get on that. These
Yep.
are oversized dry erase mats with reusable stickers.
Ooh, I like stickers.
Yeah.
We used the color forms analogy earlier because they're vinyl stickers that will stick to the surface, but not necessarily to anything else, and they're easily removable.
Yeah.
And then we had to spend 15 minutes explaining what color forms were.
And there's
Some of us know.
There's over 30 maps, which
Wow.
is great.
Big book of maps that lays flat. Buy it. Just
Yeah.
buy it.
Yeah.
Just so many uses.
Yeah.
So many purpose.
You like games?
Next, Icarus, How Great Civilizations Fall. 3 days left on this one. This is you build a utopia city that then falls apart. It's a dice stacking story game, kind of similar to Dread or Macroscopic. Icarus, because it's going up high,
And falling.
how it that's how it ties into that. It was featured on Geek and Sundry, so you can go check it out there.
Nice.
Waste Nights, 2nd edition, resource management collection game, sort of Mad Max, non-infringing.
Non-infringing.
But it does take place in Australia, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also not combat.
Right, that's what we're
this
talking
is
about. Yeah, it's interesting because it's not combat. It's actually more of a resource collection game.
So based on the new Mad Max then, where there wasn't a ton of combat, but it was managing the water and the resources.
It was,
I mean, did
it
you
was a
see
2-hour chase scene.
The flame
But it was
guitars.
good. Yeah, if I can play as a doof, then I'm in.
Well, and there's solo, co-op, or competitive. So, lots of different ways to play.
It's in the grim future. Everything
go
is
and
dark
watch Mad
and
Max.
deadly,
I
and
wanna
we
go
are
watch
going to get
Fury
some
Road.
plants,
That's-
and then we're going to get some stone, and
when-
then we're going to get some wood.
When you're finished eating your ramen, there's Chocolate Factory.
for dessert.
5 days left. A tactile Euro game for 1 to 4 players where you're building a factory, sort of like Willy Wonka.
Only
But not.
This is Billy Bonkers.
Yeah.
And there's because what every gamer wants is a moving conveyor belt in the game.
That you move yourself, not like an automated or.
Crank it.
But it does move.
It moves. Many things move.
Is it a real belt?
It's cards. like figuratively speaking.
I just hope there's a Lucy setting where it just goes nonstop and
Yeah.
you're just trying to like eat all the
Eat
chocolate.
all the chocolate. I mean, this is a game where you're eating the chocolate, right? Or
So
I guess you're just making
Does it come with
That's,
chocolate?
I don't
buy
know.
your own
it comes
chocolate?
with
I don't
it.
think
Can
this
you
is real
replace the
chocolate.
pieces?
Not enough games
with-
come with candy anymore.
Don't eat the pieces.
Are they going to put that warning on the box? They should. They
Probably.
look like chocolate. They look like candy.
They should scent them also, just to make it.
Just
Earlier
like
we
those
were
soaps that look like food.
People aren't
You
going
know?
to eat fake candy out of a toy box unless it says gluten-free right on the back.
That's a hot take. That's Christian's hot take for the week. We're 3 for 4 on hot
Yeah.
takes.
jumping totally to a different topic. Earlier we were talking about how there's no like guide to designing board games. Well,
There's going to be
I
a
have a
machine soon.
Kickstarter for those who might be interested. Board Game Design Advice, the second edition. This edition has more diversity. It is not all men this time.
Yeah.
30 to 40 prominent designers wrote some guides on how to design games. Game out of your head onto the table. 5 days left on that one. What else is going on? Gelatinous plush dice pouch. This thing is so cute that even Christian squeaked.
Yeah, it doesn't take. I'm actually a big sucker for cute.
But he's got a
Cute,
name.
like cute, ugly, but like cute. You were talking about like plush monsters. Type
Oh yeah,
things.
I love plush fantasy monsters. I think they're
cute, googly.
to make this thing even cuter, its name is Lord Gilbert Jellington.
Yeah.
Very cute teal square plush.
It's a gelatinous cube, and he's got little. It's got
and
all
it
kinds
holds
of-
dice.
It
Yeah.
holds dice.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
It's
guess that
dysfunctional.
also.
It's not just for good looks, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I like he's got like a sword like sticking out, like and he's got a back, like he's clearly like eating a bunch of.
Yeah.
A
You
bunch
have
of
to go look at how
adventures.
cute this thing
It's-
is.
It's adorable.
Adorable.
Stop the show. Look at it now.
Herbs.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Just open up a tab and put that in. You'll be like,
All right, computers.
Less cute. Lasers and liches.
All right, see, I disagree.
Okay,
on
that's
those.
super cute.
Yeah, that's,
80s heavy metal. I don't think that's not. That's a different kind of cute.
yeah.
80s heavy metal with like the neon and the I mean, everything was so bright.
it's like the cover is like this crazy badass woman holding a keytar.
Yeah.
Who I think Emma should cosplay.
I
actually.
want to. Yeah. I should buy a keytar.
That-
I should learn
see-
to play a keytar.
When I think about it being
Hashtag
Emma, then
life
it's very
goals.
cute.
Said no one after 1994 ever.
Can you still get a key? Do they still make
They still make them.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So,
still
you
make
s-
guitars.
but what is this for? You said it's just 80s.
Lasers
I love
and
that you know
liches.
that.
Right, but it is.
It's new 5e source books.
There you go.
Also
The Retroverse.
So many Kickstarters. So many tops this week. Lunar's Fangs at the Gate. This is deluxe exalted expansion for the 3rd edition. 6 days left, so you have almost a week. But by the time we see you next week, it'll be gone. Deluxe supplemental detailing the Lunar Exalted for the Exalted 3rd edition tabletop RPG.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That
That's it
is-
for Kickstarters.
Great.
Nailed it.
Awesome. There's a lot of stuff. Go spend your money.
Yeah.
Go do all these things. Speaking of spending money, ICV2 put out a list of their top games of fall 2018. And now, before we continue this, we need to let you know this is not based on numbers.
This is not based on science.
This is not based on science. This is based on interviews with retailers, distributors, and manufacturers who said, you know what, these games are doing good. So, if your favorite game isn't on here, there's not any particular reason for it other than maybe it just got overlooked.
But if your favorite game is on here, you're better than regular people.
Yeah. Take pride.
That is the second hot take from Christian today. All right, so we're going to just mosey on down this list here for the last bit of the show. First off with collectible games. The top collectible games, Magic the Gathering,
Surprise, surprise!
I am shocked.
the Pokemon trading card game, the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game, which I did not think was still doing as popular.
Still a thing. Not as much in the Pacific Northwest, apparently. So
Yeah.
we've had a little less exposure to it.
Keyforge.
Good for Keyforge.
Keyforge, number 4. That's, yeah. I've been playing it. I really like it.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Super, still relatively new. And
Came out a couple years ago. It's been doing awesome. For a new TCG, like that's pretty unusual to jump up the way that it has.
Speaking of new TCGs, the Transformers TCG.
That's the
also
one
up
where you
there.
can make the robot out of the cards.
That's the one.
Yes.
Okay, I want
The-
to play that one.
That thing's a year old and it's already
Yeah.
number like 6. the D&D fantasy miniatures.
Not a game.
Not a game.
And this is the blind bag.
blind
That's why
box,
it's the collectible. Yeah.
Good for WizKids though, like getting on that list.
Yeah. I mean,
and they're still useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
I've seen so many people come to the store and they're just like, There's the weight test for some of those boxes too. They're like picking out. They're like, I want the one that's like got the chunky stuff, and it's like, the big.
I mean,
chunk.
people are into blind boxes now.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the things.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Card Fight Vanguard.
I was surprised to see that.
I don't know what that game is.
Yeah,
on here.
I'm gonna have to look that up now because I'm like, how do I not know a game on here? It's crazy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Star Wars Destiny.
Which that jumped down quite considerably.
Yeah, I think I actually really like it. I didn't want to get into another TCG, so I didn't really buy into it. But I'm like, this is doing so many things so well, and it's got the dice manipulation. So you roll dice. It's got that, but you have a lot of control.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think maybe would have been better as like a board game as opposed to a TCG.
For a long time, it was so hard to get.
Yeah.
And it's almost like once it was back in stock, people had moved on.
Maybe they're over it. And rounding out this top 10 list, Marvel and DC HeroClix still going strong.
Yeah.
HeroClix still going strong.
Well, I mean, you say going strong, but the first three on this list still sell lots of units. Everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Everything after that is a lot less, you know?
Right,
Yeah.
So even with HeroClix hasn't been putting out a lot of stuff lately, but you can still get them and you can still play them.
Yeah.
We're
It's like they're there.
And
They're on
again,
the list, we made
again, this isn't based off numbers. This is just you call up a store, you said, hey, what sells good? And the guy's like, I think these.
And this is, but there's like these games to get onto the bottom. Mike's hot take.
That's my hot take.
To get onto the bottom of the list, there's like you don't have to sell a ton of units, but there's just like hundreds of thousands of games that don't even
so many games
come on these lists. Yeah.
Speaking of so many games, let's talk about board games.
Games.
The top 10 for the board games. And again, some of these may shock and surprise you. Number 1.
Especially number 4.
Catan.
Catan, yep, it is the staple gateway game.
It's Catan.
Yeah.
Pandemic. Yeah. Ticket to Ride.
Yeah.
Yep.
Betrayal at the House on the Hill.
Yay.
Great game.
This one,
That's
I mean,
a really
it's
great
been around for a while, but I think it's kind of.
I got it in
on
2006.
Yeah, it's on an upswing though. Like more people are becoming aware of it, and it's a great kind of a little more complex than your typical party game, but still something that you
But
can
still
break
easy to
out
pick
with
up.
a
Yeah. Well, and there's Betrayal Legacy now, which maybe that's brought attention back
That's where you get to throw the board
Yeah.
away when you're done playing?
Yeah.
Awesome.
One of my favorite games, Azul. Love that game. Super excited to see it on the list.
Sagrada, which also brand new. Both of those brand new.
Yeah.
Relatively
I don't know
new.
Within the
about
last
that
2
one.
years.
Oh man,
Sagrada's a beautiful game.
So is Azul.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sagrada stained glass window construction. And you have like see-through dice that go on to the different patterns.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Azul is mosaic tiles. You collect tiles and build a really nice mosaic.
It's almost like Sudoku art.
Yeah.
There-
Actually,
Yeah.
That's a great way.
Sudoku and art, two things I'm really good at.
Arkham Horror.
Of course.
Wow.
I feel like it should be there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Oh wait, and this is the new one too. I was thinking like that's a little weird that it's on there, but they just came out with a new edition, and that one's because Arkham Horror traditionally not super accessible, like pretty crunchy.
it's like a really hard version of Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Right,
It takes
right.
like 4 hours, and that's just the setup.
It's a lot, yeah.
But the new version streamlines a lot of that stuff, so a lot of people are excited about that.
Speaking of setting up forever, Gloomhaven.
Gloomhaven is something that if you start playing it, you will never see your friends again.
No.
But,
Nope, I've lost
but you'll
many
have a new
friend.
life.
Because
Yeah,
you're
you
too
have a
busy
new
setting
life
up the
now.
game for the first time you play Gloomhaven.
Mysterium, also on that list, and Scythe rounding out that top 10. So we talked about this. Some of these games, like Catan, Pandemic, Ticket to Ride, all have digital versions.
It's true.
It can all be played digitally, and so we're
Yeah.
not sure if that maybe has an impact. Maybe some are going from one to the other, or vice
Scythe and
versa.
Mysterium
Also, I feel
both.
like this board games list is specifically for specialty stores.
Yes.
Because,
there's,
I don't see Monopoly.
Yeah, Monopoly,
Yeah.
Scrabble.
Oh, sure.
There's
Yeah.
definitely some things on here that are like more mass market games.
Yeah.
That I think
Yeah.
these might be focused on hobby.
This is hobby for sure.
Yeah.
But I think with the digital, like people doom and gloom, right? Like digital versions are gonna ruin the coming into our board game world. But no, like all of these have digital versions, and I think
it's only helping them. Yeah.
I like Carcassonne now that I have the digital version.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, are you still playing Carcassonne on your Switch?
I haven't like in the past week or so, but like after that episode, I went home and just like jammed. I was like hankering for the Carcassonne.
You'll have to let us know if you end up deciding to get Nintendo Online and play it online, see how the online plays.
I didn't like Ticket to Ride until there was a phone version, and like that helped me like the game more.
Yeah.
There you go. Moving on, card and dice games. And again, actually, this is a pretty neat list. And this is not TCGs.
It's eclectic. I like it.
It is. Number 1, Codenames. Great game.
I love Codenames.
Great.
The new classic, yeah.
Number 2, Exploding Kittens.
Also a good game.
I'm just glad there was a cat game. That was when I saw top games, I was like, where's the cat game?
There should always be a cat game.
There needs to be a cat
top.
And there is.
Here's your classic for this list, Dominion.
Yep.
Right? Splendor.
Splendor is
game.
also great.
Yeah.
Super Fight. I'm actually pretty interested. Like, that's really interesting to see on here.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely one. So, how do I say it? How do I put this gently? So there's definitely an evolution of tastes
Get ready for
over
a hot
like
take. Here it comes. Here comes hot take.
as you're evolving your games. You know, people get into like more parties games. Like they might come into the hobby through Apples to Apples, Cards
Yeah.
Against Humanity, those kinds of things. And at a certain point, you're like, I don't know, it's not as much of a game, or I want something like maybe a little more strategy. And at Mox, I would often pitch Super Fights, Red Flags, games like those. Like, hey, it's still super fun. It's still a party game. You get to be a little bit creative with this one. You get to fight superheroes and like supervillains against each other. It's like Pikachu with a lightsaber versus like 90-story tall Batman.
So you can thank Emma for this being on the list.
There you go.
It's
yeah,
really-
single-handedly.
Continuing down this list, The Mind.
Which I was surprised, but that's nice.
I don't
That's
know
on the
about that
list.
game.
Being Psychic the game.
Oh.
So you each have a card that has a number on it, and the person with the lowest number has to put their card down first, but you can't communicate.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just have to read their mind to figure out who has the lowest number.
It's like being a psychic. The game is like
There.
telling people a false story and then taking their money from them.
Well, that's the sequel.
There you go. Star Realms. They're sort of classic-esque. It's one of those that you've been around for a little bit. Arkham Horror, the living card game.
Yeah.
Only living card game on the list.
Yeah, very neat. Boss Monster, very fun game. And Seven Wonders.
Which is also one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, and great to play with the whole family.
Drafting and science.
Just give all the science. So there's a ton of games on here, and they vary. Like again, a very diverse.
No two games alike. That's what I like about this list.
Yeah, very cool. Moving on, because we only got a few minutes left. The non-collectible minis. This is, again.
Some people may beg to differ.
It may shock you with this. Warhammer 40K, number 1.
What?
Yeah. Age of Sigmar.
Separately.
Right,
EA Games Workshop.
The D&D, the Marvelous Minis, these are the non-randomized minis that you can buy.
They are
also on
great quality, though. They really are.
And then rounding out this list, there's only 5 on this list, are 2 Star Wars minis. Star Wars X-Wing and Star Wars Legion.
I mean, for X-Wing, though, how much of that is you just want the Millennium Falcon?
Right.
I mean, there's everyone who plays X-Wing, which is a great game, which is super fun, but then there's everyone else who just wants 5 different versions of the Millennium Falcon, because they have the first one before it was the Millennium Falcon, where it was like the LD4X, and it still has the nose on it, and it's removable, and that's probably enough about that. I won't go deeper into that, because there's a lot of...
Like every
Star Wars.
episode,
They really
you
call it
nerd
the
out.
LD4X.
It had just some numbers, because it wasn't the Millennium Falcon, it was just some random ship.
It's just a
yeah.
Corellian YT-1300 light freighter, right?
Yes, yeah. Sorry.
To the role-playing game.
So for both of you, like so every
Thank you
episode,
for
Emma
getting
nerds
that.
out about one thing in particular, and just it continues to amaze me with how much nerd you continue to get. And then this time you got Christian in there.
Yeah.
Both of you, we could have left,
in.
and you guys still would have been talking for another like 20 minutes about this. This is amazing. I love this show. All right, let's finish off here with role-playing games. And again, sorry,
They're my favorite.
there's really cool stuff on here. Number 1, really cool stuff, and then a bit of a surprise. All right, number 1, Dungeons and Dragons.
Of course. Like,
Makes
that's
sense.
expected.
And
Making a comeback, bring it to the top.
they've been killing it over the last year or so.
And they're going to continue to kill it all year.
Yeah, especially with all the stuff that they're going to start putting out. Number 2, Legend of the Five Rings.
The new edition, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't played it, but I'm going to.
Which, like, it's neat that it's number 2 when
Yeah.
it just came out. But,
Yeah.
it was leaning a lot on its older audience, for sure.
Number 3, the Christian and Emma game, the Star Wars RPG, where they can just sit out and just be
Actually,
mechanics
I
and
don't
nerds.
play this version of the Star Wars RPG
because it's got the dice.
because it's got the weird
Oh, the
dice.
weird
and I've got
dice,
literally
yeah.
5 other Star Wars RPGs that I
Yeah.
can just pick up and play without having to buy special dice.
Number 4, Starfinder.
Awesome game.
That's Pathfinder in space, right?
Yes, but so much more.
It's fairly new, right?
It is, yeah. No, it's a
it was
little
a-
over a year and a half old.
Yeah.
It's coming up on its 2nd birthday, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
That's
And
awesome.
ever since I've got it, like, that is half the time that I'm playing games not on live stream, it's that game.
Nice.
It's just, we've had so much fun with it.
And number 5, Vampire. The new version.
Mike and I were very, very excited to see that on this list.
I need to get those booked. Yeah.
And a little surprised.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, for
super
sure.
surprised.
Because Pathfinder not on the list this time around.
Which hurts my feelings to no end.
But maybe we talked about how we talked about earlier. Maybe everyone's just waiting for Pathfinder 2 to drop.
I feel like they are. I know I am.
You're holding out. You're like, we probably have Pathfinder
and then
books.
Vampire.
I've got
Vampire.
like 30 Pathfinder books.
Considering how all the craziness surrounding Vampire and its release.
Yeah.
Number 5.
It's a solid game.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, and I thought it was
People
such like
like
a
it.
niche audience,
Yeah.
but
Vampires.
The thing is,
But
some
specifically
people
that.
bought it because they didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of people bought it just for nostalgia purposes
Yeah.
because we grew up in the 90s
Yeah.
and that's just... Vampire the Masquerade was the thing back then.
Yeah, Derek just got his trading card game, and he's posted pictures of it. I was like, we're gonna play because I remember that game. So there you go. That's ICV2's games. And remember, those are not based on numbers. Those are based on them doing interviews with retailers, distributors, game store owners, and just being like, hey, what's doing well? And they're like, this. So there you go.
they should call us next time.
They should call us.
Yeah.
Next time,
We'll
it's
tell
ICV2.
them.
We'll hot take it
Yeah.
off.
Get our hot takes.
The hot takes. You know what? Next week's episode is going to be what we think it is. Actually, next week,
our hot games.
I don't know who's going to be here next week because it's Emerald City Comic Con
Yeah.
next week, which huge event here in Seattle. Tiva's going to be
I
gone
will
because
be
she's got a
there.
thing. Christian's got a panel like immediately after the show. I got to figure out what I'm doing with
I'll
my
be
life
here,
for
though.
that weekend.
I'll be
you'll
here for sure.
Who knows?
I will be doing a panel at Emerald City Comic Con, so I will not be here.
There's loads. So,
I think I only have an improv show that night, so...
see, all
Which
right.
you can come see it, Emerald City Comic Con.
If you're at Emerald City Comic Con, that'll be here next week. Where can folks find you on the internet? Should they want to find you?
At Tifa Robles, or you can go to tifarobles.com, where my Kickstarter is going for another 3 weeks.
There you go.
At Emma Larkins. I'm on Twitter. My website is emmalarkins.com. I've been streaming a lot more recently.
there
Like just
you
a
go.
couple of days ago, I did a live board game design stream where I came up with
that's
a game
cool.
in less than an hour. So
That's awesome.
you should definitely check that out.
And I'm Christian Doyle. You can find me on Twitter at Crash Jackson. I am the creator and host of Masters of the Metaverse and also star on Death from Above on Saturdays. You can find that on the Zombie Orpheus channel. Also, we have several Kickstarters. Please support Strowlers.
There you go. And I am at The Microbolus, both on Twitter and most live streaming services. In fact, I will be on the Xbox channel later today at 2 o'clock playing Devil May Cry 5.
I might just be watching that.
Mixer.com/Xbox. You should go check it out because it's going to be a blast. Until then, this has been TableTakes presented by Gen Con. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.